sir, victory is our business. We of General Motors are an army of production, building 1,001 things to help sink the Axis. There are 350,000 of us in 104 plants in Canada and the United States, all working for the same thing, victory for the United Nations. And we in Canada are proud of our part in the big production job. How big? Well, there's 35,000 engineers, plant men, tool makers, figuring out new weapons and ways for us to make them better and faster. Take military vehicles, for example. We in Canada have already built 140,000 of them. All kinds of bodies, all kinds of chassis, constantly tested and improved. Most of them have been broken down and shipped to United Nations fighting fronts all over the world. We're proud they've given a good account of themselves. When they finally reach dry land again and come out of the crate, it's likely to be somewhere near the equator where the going is tough. We've been told that Canadian workmen had a real share in changing the war map in North Africa. Our trucks helped save Egypt, and they helped smash Romo. As the United Nations continue the attack, you can bet our trucks will be there in the thick of it. It's a long time now since the last civilian car rolled off our lines. A lot of new stuff has been built since then. Some of it so important that General McNaughton and his staff showed the greatest interest in their production. And we're making lots of machine guns like these. We make them in Canada, and there are several of our plants in the United States turning them out, too. Then take anti-aircraft guns. We in Canada are making mounts for just such cannon as you see here. But now we want to show you what GM soldiers of production on both sides of the border can do for the United Nations program. So here are diesel engines, every kind, from little bits of diesels to grandpa diesels. Some of them for lighting searchlights, others for driving submarines, and others for tanks, trucks, and I don't know how many things. This one is a special kind, big secret, lots of horsepower. You can bet your bottom dollar it'll do a real war job. You've heard about the Allison engine. Here's where that liquid-cooled power plant is built, and it took a lot of technical skill to tackle this job. You can always tell an Allison by the pointed nose, like on this P-40. Watch her go, and listen to that Allison. Now here's lightning itself. It's a Lockheed P-38 fighter with two Allisons. They really can fight, and I might add, are fighting plenty. They call these Bell P-39s cannon on wings. Got a cannon right smack in the middle of its nose. The Allison is behind the pilot. It's no secret these engines are spread over the face of the globe, strutting their stuff. Just to show you we GM folks are a pretty open-minded gang, we also build air-cooled engines. Believe it or not, there are as many man-hours in a single crankshaft as there are in a whole Buick car. Yes, we're in the plane business, all right, building parts and sub-assemblies for the ships our boys are flying. And it really does our hearts good when we hear how our boys in the Royal Canadian Air Force are knocking the Axis planes out of the sky. Burling, McNabb, Molson, we're proud of them. Right now in Canada, we're tooling up to build fuselages for one of the most sensational of warplanes, the Mosquito. It's a new one, but not too new. It has already proved itself on just such attacks as these fellows are making over Nazi Europe. We've been building a long time, the B-25. Jimmy Doolittle used them to bomb Tokyo. You can tell at a glance that these are man-sized bullets, shells to be exact. They're coming off the line in tremendous volume, and shell fuses too. One of the precision jobs women can do so well. Here are some cases ready for a load of TNT. Stick in the shell, and you've got a victory cocktail. Here's a plain case of ingenuity. Folks said all things that required strength had to be forged, and forging takes time. Well, a couple of engineers scratched their heads and did some figuring and some thinking, and now we're casting lots of these parts in no time at all in comparison to what it took for forging. We're making lots of castings that folks said just couldn't be done. Now you're looking at a big gun aimer. This device aims the big guns simply by turning these little wheels. And these gadgets are mounts for one type of gun. We make an assortment of these. Technically speaking, these are called air screws. Most everyone calls them propellers. If you could get in here with the fellows that are building them, you could see at first glance they are a new type and very efficient propeller. If most of us ever got under the hood of a modern airplane, we'd be amazed at all the electrical stuff. And bearings, boy, what a lot of them. Every shape, size, and variety. Ball bearings, some pretty big ones, some little bitsy ones we have to make under a magnifying glass. Bronze bearings. These are a pretty special kind, used in most of the aviation engines for the United Nations. Where we used to build car radios, we're turning out radios for tanks and all kinds of military uses. Before the war, most people thought a machine tool was a monkey wrench, a pair of pliers or something. Everyone knows now that machine tools are pretty big things, costing a whole lot of money and the very foundation of mass production. We're building machine tools. And we're still retooling plants for new things, for more things, for better things, to help win the war just as fast as all of us together can do it. We're getting set for the biggest production job in history. We're training men and women for new jobs. We're training men in uniform to keep them flying, sailing, and rolling. We're training old hands for new jobs because, after all, while we're doing a lot now, we're not going to stop for breath until we set the Axis boys back on their heels for all time. We're going to lay them low with all the stuff we can turn over to the best and hardest-hitting Army, Navy, and Air Force men in the world.